the music industry is a roller coaster of emotion. And so the highs are very high. The lows are very low. And the lows could last for years. There was a time where I had a number one for 3 years in a row. And I was at the top of the world. And then had a little bit of a lull. I mean, in the lull, it was like, man, like, am I even supposed to be doing this anymore? Like, you know, but I believe like God gave me a gift of music, and, you know, I feel like it's my job to use that. Like, it's a gift that I've been given. This is what I need to be doing, and I just keep showing up and keep going and keep going and keep going. And, you know, eventually something's going to pay off. Right. If you continuously show up, something will pay off.
Hi, I'm Erik Weir, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Stuttering Your Way to Success, because there is no success without setback. And we're shooting today in a studio. We're in Keystone Studios in Nashville, Tennessee, and my special guest is Josh Mirenda. How you doing, Josh?
Couldn't be better. Well, a lot. Allergy season's pretty rough right now. Could be a little bit better, but other than that, doing great.
The allergies are killing me right now. So true. So what's so special about our partnership is between the three of us, we have three platinum records.
We do. We do. And I'm just happy that I'm involved with that.
Yeah. So what's your number one song?
The biggest one, I was a writer on Somewhere on a Beach by Dierks Bentley.
Oh, wow.
That was the first song I ever had recorded by an artist. It was a multi-week number one, multi-platinum, one song of the year. So it's kind of like the equivalent. I have some buddies that played Major League Baseball, and they were like, man, that's kind of like the equivalent of getting called up from the minors to the majors.
Sure.
You know, World Series.
Right. Bases
Bases are loaded, you know, Game 7 or whatever, just grand slam to win it.
Yeah,
It's just
huge song. Right? How'd that change your life?
So that song gave me validity, I guess.
Okay.
In the music industry, I've been writing songs for a while at that point, and just nobody had seen it. The public hadn't seen it. You know, my family had, my friends had.
Right.
But, you know, your name being on a number one song like that, it kind of brings you from here to, oh, you might know what you're doing. And
right.
Things kind of snowball.
Right.
After that, people even listen to some stuff that you've written before that differently.
Oh, interesting.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
What goes into writing the song?
So everybody has a different creative process. I can speak on mine. And mainly in Nashville. I know some people like in LA, it's a different world out there, in Atlanta and everything else. So Nashville, in my process, is I'll get in a room with, normally it's like 3 people total. Sometimes I'll come in with half a song done. Sometimes somebody else will.
Okay.
But we'll just say, for the sake of this conversation, everybody comes in with nothing started. So we'll sit down, and there's normally 2 writers and 1 producer-writer. Producer-writer makes all the music and produces the whole thing. By the time we leave, it sounds like a track that you hear on the radio. It's just one of our voices rather than the artist.
Okay.
So we'll sit down and we're like, does anybody have any good ideas? And, you know, we'll go through the notes. I have over probably, I'd say, 400 to 500 ideas. Like right now,
Really?
that might, I could just scrub.
Wow. Okay.
Not saying they're all good.
Right. Right.
Let's just, they're not
No
all
ideas,
great,
right? Yeah.
but they're ideas.
Yeah.
Or titles. And it's like, I got something called, you know, whatever, and, you know, here's what I was thinking about how you can spin that. And the other person might say, I like that title, but what if you twisted it this way?
Okay.
And maybe a light bulb goes off.
Sure.
And so you'll start kind of going back and forth of like, yeah, and you kind of get the concept of, here's the hook of the song, which is the line right before, like, you know, getting some, I ain't slept in a week, I'm somewhere on a beach. That's the hook.
Okay.
Somewhere on a beach. So now we got to get the music that kind of fits with the whole hook of the song. And I like to write the chorus first, because that's the most important part to me.
Right.
That's you hear the chorus multiple times throughout the song. The verses, for me, I just want to support the hook. Everything that I want to write in verses and everything, I want to lead straight back to that hook, really reinforce it. And I had a lot of guys that invested in me with their time as far as songwriters go, that kind of taught me how to craft songs.
Okay.
One of them, Brett James, who gave me my first deal. He's had 20-something number ones.
Wow.
A guy named Ashley Gorley, who just recently had his 75th. He's probably up to 76 or 77 at this point.
Wow.
Number one songs as a writer. He came over to my house every day in college, or every week, I should say, once a week, and let's say, play me what you wrote. And he'd sit there with his Chipotle halfway through his day, and I'd start playing a song, and he'd say, stop the song, middle of the song, and right there you should have said this instead of that, hit play. stop the song. That melody is really cool. Make sure you bring that back and whatever. So those are the
structure of it. Okay.
Yeah, and so that's like kind of how I learned how to structure things.
So mentorship was important to you then.
I mean, I can't even put a value on it.
Okay.
And I always I want to be the least valuable person in the room when I'm in the room.
How do you find a mentor? I mean, you found one. If someone's listening today and they want to be in any business, if they want to be an electrician, or if they want to be in the music business, or like yourself, a songwriter, you have more. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Yeah.
How did you go about finding a mentor, or how should somebody else go about finding a mentor?
So, I kind of fell into it. I would say I was playing for free barbecue in college.
Okay.
At a writer's night.
Right. Right.
And one of Ashley's assistants was there, came up and noticed my songwriting stuff. He's like, hey, you know who Ashley Gorley is? I didn't at the time. I was pre-med, pre-long college, totally different from music.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, man, I love her music. He's like, well, it's a dude. And I was like, yeah, I mean, his music. But and I met with him after that. And with me, it was kind of a right place, right time. I'm a man of faith. I think that, God had me playing there for free barbecue.
Right.
For a reason.
Right.
And it's just about finding the right, whether it's anything. I do other stuff other than music too, and just the people that I want to surround myself with. That's such a help in any industry.
Right.
As far as finding the right one, I would say just, put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's extremely important. Be who you are. Don't try to be something you're not.
Right.
Because very intelligent, very successful people see right through that.
Right.
In my opinion.
So authenticity.
Yeah, exactly. Be authentic to who you are. Put yourself out there. And I was big with the music industry on going out to writer nights and going out to where I knew these people were going to be.
So networking is important, and being seen.
Networking is such a key piece of what I do in the music industry, and even like with other buddies that I have just in business, networking is huge. Mm-hmm. Your contact list, your Rolodex, whatever is the most valuable thing that you can have, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And just, introducing yourself, like, hey, if it's a songwriter with me, it'd be like, hey man, my name's Josh, like I'm a new writer. I'm not asking you if you're a writer or anything. I just want to say I love what you do and everything, and be nice. And 9 times out of 10, if you come at it like that,
mm-hmm.
they're more susceptible to be like, oh man, like what's your story?
Sure.
As opposed to just coming straight off the jump, like,
right.
Hey, I'd love to write with you. Can you give me some dates? Take on your calendar right now.
Right,
it's like,
right,
boom,
right,
like
right.
let's simmer.
Right.
But yeah.
That's fantastic. Now, that's really good insight. Have you ever felt like throwing in the towel, or have you ever had like a setback along the way that seemed like a lot? And if so, what did you learn from it, and how did that shape you?
Yeah. So definitely, I've never even publicly acknowledged it, but absolutely,
mm-hmm.
I've wanted to quit
mm-hmm.
multiple times. And honestly, I think if you just keep showing up, because when I was first got in the industry, and I still have this mentality, I'm not going to be the most talented person,
mm-hmm.
but you're going to be hard pressed to find anybody that's going to outwork me.
Okay.
If I ever miss out on an album cut, if I ever miss out on whatever, on somebody that I'm really trying to get on their record, it's because it's either A, a political thing, or B, they just wrote the better song.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's not going to be because I didn't show up.
Yeah, you're working it.
To do that. And so the music industry is a roller coaster of emotion. And so the highs are very high. The lows are very low. And the lows could last for years.
Mm.
There was a time where I had won for 3 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at the top of the world.
Mm.
And then had a little bit of a lull. And now I'm coming out of it again. And in the lull, it was like, man, like, am I even supposed to be doing this anymore? Like, but I believe like God gave me a gift of music, and, I feel like it's my job to use that. Like, it's a gift that I've been given. This is what I need to be doing. And I just keep showing up and keep going and keep going and keep going. And, eventually something's going to pay off. Right. If you continuously show up, something will pay off.
So as a creative, how do you put structure around your day? Because you're not having to show up at 9 o'clock to be somewhere. You don't have a 11 o'clock scheduled meeting. So how do you put structure around your creativity and your work ethic?
So as far as the creative structure goes, it's all over the place. Like, my mind never stops. I've woken up like in the middle of the night before, mm-hmm. with like a song idea that's hit me in a dream, like waking up my wife like on voice memos. But as far as the time structure goes, the way that I approach it, and a lot of people in Nashville, the professionals, like there's like a set time of like, we book out for months in advance. Tuesday I'll be at Keystone writing with person A and person B. We're starting at 9 a.m.
Is this
starting
just
at 11 a.m.
Right.
Yes. And there's a reason for why we're in the room at this stage, with me at least. Some people just write to write, and that's totally fine. That's how I started, and I still do that. But at this point as well, it's music business. So you have to have some sort of business angle on, so you want to get on, Jason Aldean's record. Okay, so how can I put myself in a room? If I'm connected with them, great. How can I double down on that? Who else is connected?
Okay.
Who else has had a track record?
Right.
If he's looking for songs, and he's recording in the next 3 months, I want to load my calendar up with as many strategic people as I can within that time frame to just try to get on that record and really focus, like what's song titles, ideas, concepts, all kind of geared towards who's recording at that time.
Wow. So how important is work ethic to you?
It's everything to me. The family I was brought up in, it was you learn how to work. Okay. And I have 2 daughters. I'm going to raise them the exact same way. I think work ethic is everything. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. Because like I said earlier, I'm probably not the most talented guy in the room, but I'm going to try so hard. I'm going to try the hardest.
Right. That's powerful. So if you could go back and talk to your 20-year-old self, knowing what you now know, what advice would you give yourself?
The advice I would give myself is so I have one regret. Some people are like, I have no regrets. I have one. When I had that little string of success where I was hotter than donut grease, it was like, couldn't miss.
Right.
I got real complacent. And I was like, this is kind of easy. Like I've had, I don't have to try as hard anymore. And that's when I kind of started to see a dip.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And if I could go back, I would tell that person, now is the time. You thought you worked hard then, double down.
Okay. So after you're successful, you double down.
Yes.
And lean into it.
Yes. And we're kind of, like I said, it's kind of like getting to where it's starting to do this. More people are starting to record my songs. I have a record deal myself. That will never happen again. Ever.
How do you get clarity and focus?
For me, I took out a lot of the bull crap that was in my life. A lot of the thinking, like, I just got to go to bars and meet people and party, and that's how I'm going to network. And that's fine. You meet some people doing that. But for me, it's more of like, okay, I'm going to take care of myself. Like if I have I'm not coming in hungover. I'm not, like, this is my job. I want to be as prepared as I can. And clarity to me is, personally, it's like, let me take care of myself and my family, which will allow me to work more efficiently and better. Honestly, that's just for me. I'm sure everybody's wired different. Everybody finds different ways to do it, but I like to wake up a little bit before my kids wake up, because it's chaos. If you have children, like when the kids wake up, it's
on.
Absolute chaos. It's like, I like to wake up, get my coffee. I make breakfast, most days for my kids and my wife and stuff, for she has a job as well. So it's starting my day correctly, going to bed at a reasonable time, and just eliminating a lot of the bullcrap.
Wow. Well, I talk a lot of times about balancing or harmonizing, maybe a better word, faith, family, fitness, finance, friends. So how do you balance that, or how do you harmonize that with the demands of music? Yeah. And then you'll be on the road for a while, right? So then how do you, like, do you take time, to set time away to focus on other things later, or how do you do that?
So what I do is, whatever lane I'm in with that, I just try to be present in that as best I can.
Okay.
When I am in the studio, I am in the studio. When I am dad, I am dad. When I'm, with the exception of faith, I take that everywhere. But I just try to be the best I can. And with me, family comes first. So even if I'm in an important session, if my phone rings and it says wife, she knows where I am. And she doesn't call me to just to call. There's a reason if there's something important happening. So that's kind of how I value it. And my family to me is everything.
So why is family so important to you?
I think becoming a dad was such a huge part for me. You know, just seeing like my daughters like smile. That's the best thing ever. Like, well, my daughters are excited to see me. That beats like anything, in my opinion. But also, I was, you know, I had a very loving family growing up, and that's family to me is everything. It's not, at this point, I'm not doing it for me.
Right.
I'm doing it for my wife and for my kids.
Right.
So,
why is faith important?
I mean, I'm in control of nothing.
Right.
You know, anything that I have, I think, you know, in my opinion, God has given to me. He can take it away. He can give more. He can whatever. But I just think that's my beliefs. And I think he gave me the gift of music, and I need to use it to the best of my ability in whatever capacity that is. And I mean, that's how I got to where I am. So like I said, I was like a science kid. I was a science nerd.
Right.
All in college. Loved music. Promised my family, you know, I was like, I thought I was going to do oral maxillofacial surgery. So I was a surgical assistant.
That's all just to say.
Yeah, right.
Prepared for it.
Yeah. Dental implants, wisdom teeth surgery, TMJ, stuff like that.
Right.
I worked in the OR as a surgical assistant all through college. Spring breaks, I was in the OR. Christmas break, OR. Summer break, OR.
Wow.
Saved up money. I got paid to do it. And the practice I worked for was one of my best friend's dad was a partner of it. And I was like, I want to do this. Because I actually like want to make money down the road, and I'm a nerd, so this should just line up perfectly. And so I did that, and then the music stuff started to happen. I started getting attention from that. And so my family, of course, was like, Joe, hold on a second. Like, this is, I mean, just make the grades, and it's right here. It's on a platter for you. And I was like, you know what? I said, you give me 6 months after graduation, which if you're watching this, don't do that. Like that, I'll explain like why it happened, but that is no time in music at all. That's like no time at all. It's way too short.
Right.
I said, don't bother me. Let me treat this as if it's my job. If I don't have an offer for a publishing deal in that 6 months, you guys win. I'll go take the admissions test. I'll make the phone calls I need to make. We'll continue on this path. And they're like, yeah, that seems like a fair deal. They held up their end. I held up my end. They didn't ask questions. Nothing. I had enough saved up to pay bills, you know, whatever. Just treat music as if it's my job. 6 months I told nobody this.
Really?
Only people that knew were my family. So my parents, my grandparents were very involved in my life, and my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. Only people that knew. Girlfriend, who's now a wife, was the one that was like, just try it. You know, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what you feel like you're supposed to do. Go for it. So 6 months of the day, we go to lunch. It was kind of like the come to Jesus lunch.
Wow.
6 months of the day of walking.
So you did scheduled with your parents like 6 months later?
I didn't schedule it. They did.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they wanted to go to lunch that day. I was hoping they forgot.
They weren't playing around, huh?
Yeah, we're at Burger Republic in the Gulch in Nashville, Tennessee. Ordered our food. They're like, hey, it's 6 months. I'm like, I get it. You know, I'll make the calls tomorrow. And the whole time I've prayed, like, if this is what I'm supposed to do, just give me a sign. Like, just give me a sign. If not, totally get it. But I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. Before our lunch showed up, my phone rings. It's Brett James, who had a publishing company. I answer it. I'm like, hey, what's going on? He's like, hey, who's your lawyer? And I was like, oh, dude, I'm getting sued. Like, I have nothing. So I was like, am I getting sued? And he's like, no. He's like, I want to offer you a publishing deal. He's like, I need to contact your attorney so we can submit our offer. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. He's like, Warner and I want to sign you. And I was like, okay. So I hang up the phone. I was like, I'm not going to dental school or like any of that. I was like, I'm signing to Warner and Brett James. Like, I didn't even know what the deal looked like. But
right.
And
right?
Within 3 days, there was, I think, 4 lined up. And so that was, to me, my sign from God. And why I say I'm here for this reason, because I said, give me a sign, you know.
Wow.
Granted, it was the 11th hour.
Right. Not early, right?
It wasn't early.
But on time.
But it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not my timing anyway. So
yeah. Well, that's fantastic. That's a good. So what's next? I mean, you're a songwriter. You've written 3 hits.
Yeah.
And what's next for you?
So what's next for me is I signed a record deal, because I got into songwriting because I wanted to be the guy singing them.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And so the songwriting stuff just took off, which is great. Put some food on the table and signed a record deal. So now it's my turn to be the singer. I still write for other people as well.
Right.
More times than not. I hate writing songs for myself. I overthink everything, but
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, now I get to do both, and I'm really excited. We're getting some traction with some stuff, and yeah, I'm really excited.
You have a tour coming out, or?
So I just signed with William Morris, his big agency. My agent is a good friend, has been for a while. He has started Chasing Aldean ground up, Florida Georgia Line ground up, and a couple others, and so I'm excited. He's in charge of the touring. I can assure you that it's happening, because that was about a week and a half ago that we made that happen, and so yeah, we'll be on tours, we'll be on radio, we'll be doing the whole thing.
Wow.
So it's exciting times.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
So this is starting in the next month, 2 months, 3 months. When's this all happening?
Record is going to come out end of June. My debut album. I put out songs here and there, but this is the first album I've put out ever. And I mean, I think the songs are great. And keep in mind, like, I've been writing songs professionally for like 10 years.
Okay.
So there's been quite a few to pick from.
Right. So did you write all of your own material, or did you use anybody else's songs on your first album?
I was a writer on all of them. But that's not like, I would record somebody else's song. Best song wins, in my opinion. I don't care if I wrote or didn't, was an artist.
Right.
That's just, like I said, we had 10 years worth of songs built up in multiple catalogs. And I got, the hardest part for me was to narrow it down.
Wow. So as we get ready to close, I mean, what an amazing career. You went to school, you graduated, you gave yourself 6 months to make it. Your parents
don't do that.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Give yourself a little bit more.
The last minute, you're at lunch, right? So that had to be terrifying. Yeah. At lunch, you get the call, and then since then you have three hits, and now you're launching on your own and a tour. That's fantastic. So if someone wants to learn more about you, how could they do that?
I'd say follow me on social media. Any of my socials, I'm pretty, what you see is what you get.
Okay.
On those, especially with my stories, like those, kind of have complete control over those. I have a social media team that helps me with stuff now as well, but the stories.
I met them today. Yeah,
that's right. They're great. Big fans of them. Yeah. But yeah, social media is the best. I mean, I announced shows on that, new music, how many margaritas we had at Cinco de Mayo that night. Anything there.
It was fun, right?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. It's fantastic. Okay, what advice do you have for someone who's 22, they're frustrated, and they want to be a songwriter, and they live in Kansas City? What would you tell that person?
I would tell them to be make the best of what you can make where you are. When you are one of the best or the best there, come to Nashville or LA, wherever, you decide to go. I would say Nashville. See how you stack up, be willing to learn, have an open mind, connect with people. And, like I said earlier, show up every day, show up.
So how important is proximity to other artists, and how important is networking?
Proximity is important. It's not as important as networking, in my opinion. 2 of the 3 number ones I wrote in Florida, and we've brought them to Nashville, but we also know the artist. Again, networking is everything, because you could be the most talented person ever, and if you don't network and nobody knows who you are, right, how is your stuff going to get heard? Who's going to hear it?
That's right.
It's just you and your parents and friends that are like, dude, you're really good. And it's like, thanks. I'm broke. Can you help?
Right. Yeah. I'm in the basement, right?
Exactly. And it's like, you could be crushing it in Nashville,
right?
So yeah, dream big and work hard.
That's fantastic. And dreams without an action plan is a fantasy.
I literally take my stuff to like a step further. I have goals. I have my dream. I have goals within this dream, and I have, how do I get from where I am now to this? Okay. Like, how do I achieve that down to like the target writing and stuff? And then, if you want to get on Kane Brown's record, how are you going to get on Kane Brown's record?
Okay. Well, let's start and think, right?
Let's start. Yeah. How do you do that? Let's do this. I want, one of my goals that I want right now is, it's called the Triple Play Award. It's 3 number ones in 1 year. It's like, all right, how am I going to get to that?
Okay.
And there's, in my mind, I have like literally written out steps, not incredibly detailed, but it's something for me to look at every day. And in my mirror where
You look at them every day? Okay.
in my mirror where I brush my teeth, I have a, dry erase marker, and I have like a few goals of mine that I will have to look at every morning. Every morning when I'm brushing my teeth, I have to look at those.
Wow.
So
Do you bind them by time? Like, I want to have it by this date? Because 6 months is pretty specific.
yeah,
Have you continued that habit?
with some of them, yes. Some of them are just very large goals. That I'm not going to say I'm just going to keep them internal, or I'll tell you off camera or something. But some of those, I don't know if they necessarily are attainable within a short amount of time.
Gotcha.
Others are.
Yeah.
And I think personally for me, it's important to have not small goals. Like, I don't want to make goals so small that like it's easy to hit them, but I want just a touch out of reach goals within a window where I can hit them. So when I do hit them, I could be like, perfect, I'm one step closer to this one. I need wins along the way personally. So that's how I do that.
So your goals are believable, but they're a stretch, and they can be bound by time or not, and you review them on a regular basis.
Every day.
Oh, every day. That's fantastic.
Every day, every night.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Great. Well, what was it? Erik Weir, thanks for joining me on another episode of Stutter Your Way to Success with Josh Mirenda. He's about to be on tour. Already has 3 top hits, and he's launching his first album shortly. Thanks again, Josh.
Thanks for having me.